Ben Goldacre, Bad Science. In a world where scientific claims are often thrown around to sell products and grab headlines, Bad Science, by Ben Goldacre sheds light on how misleading information can distort our understanding of science. The book's summary delves into a variety of topics, including false claims in the health industry, questionable drug trials, the impact of placebos, statistical misuse, and the sensationalism of science in the media. With an engaging and instructive approach, the book offers readers the tools to develop a discerning eye for good and bad science, helping them navigate a world full of misinformation.
Science or Scam? Unmasking Advertisements. Every day, we encounter advertisements for products that claim to improve our lives using complex, scientific language. Often, these grand promises crumble under closer inspection as they capitalize on our ignorance and trust in science. Good marketing plays on our tendency to assume scientific explanations are too difficult for us, allowing advertisers to exploit us. We see examples everywhere, especially in the health and beauty industry. They make promises about their products, purifying us and enhancing our attractiveness. Take Aqua Detox, a detox foot bath, as an example. This product claims to cleanse your body of toxins, which supposedly turn the bath water brown during use. But is that really how it works? The truth is, these grand claims lack any scientific backing. The brown color in the detox bath isn't residue from your feet but is actually rust from the iron electrodes. When the foot bath is switched on, you're merely witnessing the product's chemistry at work, not its effectiveness at ridding your body of toxins. Another example is a facial cream boasting that it's made from specially treated salmon roe DNA. The advertisement implies that the salmon DNA nourishes and revitalizes your skin. However, DNA molecules are too large to be absorbed through the skin. Even if they could be absorbed, applying alien DNA, like that of a fish, would provide no benefit to human cells. If you genuinely wish to gain the nutrients salmon can offer, you should eat and digest it properly instead of relying on gimmicky creams. These companies flourish because they prey on our tendency to believe science is too complicated for a layperson to understand. This mindset emboldens marketers to push scientific-sounding facts that we accept without question, leaving them with the perfect opportunity to manipulate our trust and profit from our lack of understanding. Multivitamins, more harm than good. Many people take multivitamins daily, believing in their ability to enhance health or even ward off illnesses. However, such claims often lack scientific backing and may be based on overextrapolation from limited studies. An example of this is Patrick Holford's claim that vitamin C is more effective than the anti-HIV drug AZT, which was unsupported by human trials and could have serious consequences. Similarly, vitamin salesman Matthias Rath falsely promoted multivitamins as a superior treatment to anti-HIV drugs in South Africa, potentially causing approximately 343,000 preventable deaths. Unveiling drug trial manipulations. Drug trials play a significant role in determining the safety and efficacy of new medications. However, the enormous financial burden associated with drug testing, which amounts to an average cost of $500 million per trial, is primarily borne by pharmaceutical companies. Consequently, these entities exert an overwhelming influence over the research, understanding, and reporting of trial results, oftentimes leading to biased publication of results and hiding of vital data. It is thus crucial to be skeptical and question the reliability of trials, understanding that what qualifies as good science may not always be straightforward. Drug trials serve as the backbone in determining the safety and effectiveness of new pharmaceuticals. Ideally, one would assume these trials to be fair and transparent. Sadly, this is far from reality, as financial burdens and corporate influence create a breeding ground for dishonest practices. The process of bringing a drug to the market is an arduous and expensive journey. A drug must pass safety trials, efficacy trials, and finally, a large-scale trial involving placebos or comparable treatments. Astoundingly, the combined costs of these trials can reach around $500 million. Due to these high expenses, public institutions cannot bear the costs, and consequently, pharmaceutical companies sponsor approximately 90% of clinical drug trials. This scenario provides these companies significant control over the research focus, along with the interpretation and reporting of results. This power often leads to a phenomenon known as publication bias, where positive trial results see the light of day more frequently than those yielding negative results. Numerous instances have emerged where drug companies conceal data, such as the limited effectiveness of antidepressant SSRIs compared to placebos. Some trials even reported the same positive results, albeit slightly reworded, in multiple publications to create an illusion of augmented efficacy. Additionally, drug companies have been known to hide risks or side effects, such as anorgasmia caused by SSRIs, leaving the consumer in the dark. In this complex scenario, even the most cautious individuals can be deceived by skewed trial results. Therefore, as we unveil the manipulations behind drug trials, it's essential to foster skepticism and ascertain what constitutes good science. The power of placebo effects. The effectiveness of placebos in treating various conditions often bewilders people, but it largely comes down to the theater surrounding them. Factors like packaging, price, and color all influence patients' expectations and, consequently, treatment outcomes. Studies demonstrate that placebo treatments only require patients to believe they're getting treated to produce effects, making them great for comparison with real treatments. However, the use of placebos raises ethical concerns, as patients could potentially forego vital treatments, leading to worsened conditions. As seen in the case of the U.S. Public Health Service's syphilis experiment on poor black men, the importance of addressing these ethical issues cannot be understated. Placebos, often just sugar pills, work wonders for various conditions, from tooth pain to angina, leaving many baffled. The key to their healing power lies in the theater surrounding these deceptive treatments. Details like packaging, price, and color manipulate patients' expectations, leading to improved outcomes. Research shows the impact of multiple factors on the placebo effect. For instance, placebo pills are more effective than and injections trump pills. Additionally, pink pills invigorate patients, while blue ones induce relaxation. In a study involving a sciencey-looking laser catheter that didn't provide any treatment, patients experienced similar improvements as those who underwent real treatments. The crux of placebo treatments is the patient's belief that they're getting treated. This psychological effect can be leveraged to compare the efficacy of real treatments against placebos. Take homeopathy, for example. Many claim it has cured illnesses, but compared to placebos in blind, randomized trials, it performs no better. Nevertheless, ethical concerns arise from the use of placebos. As sham treatments, patients may forego much-needed treatment and see their health decline. A disturbing example is the U.S. Public Health Service's experiment from 1932 to 1972, where 399 poor black men with syphilis were led to believe they were receiving treatment while their conditions worsened. The government didn't apologize until 1997. The ethical implications of using placebos need thorough consideration to avoid such tragic consequences. Unveiling hidden trial flaws. Medical trials are widely trusted for determining the effectiveness of treatments, but they may not always present a fair test. The randomization of participants into treatment and non-treatment groups can be obscured, and some patients, known as heart sinks, may be deliberately excluded to ensure better outcomes. This can lead to overstating the efficacy of treatments by 30% or more. Trials that lack proper blinding, or the concealment of which group an individual patient is in, can also skew results. By addressing these issues, the credibility and reliability of medical trials can be enhanced, providing a more accurate reflection of treatment effectiveness. Medical trials are a cornerstone for validating the efficacy of medical treatments, yet sometimes they don't present the most accurate picture. Consider this: randomizing participants in a trial is critical for assessing treatment efficacy. However, some trials may not disclose how they randomize patients into treatment and non-treatment groups. In these trials, there are instances when some patients, referred to as heart sinks, are more likely to drop out or not respond to treatment due to their constant, unspecific complaints. Experimenters may purposefully exclude such individuals from the treatment group seeking better results, ultimately testing the treatment only on those with higher recovery chances. This unclear patient selection can lead to an overstated treatment efficacy by 30% or more, causing deviations from actual effectiveness. In addition to randomization issues, trials may lack appropriate blinding. Blinding means keeping the experimenter, doctor, or patient unaware of which group a patient is in, treatment or placebo. Proper blinding is crucial to prevent unconscious or conscious biases or communications that could influence the course of the trial. A prime example of this is seen in acupuncture trials. Studies without proper blinding portrayed the treatment to be highly beneficial. In contrast, well-blinded tests demonstrated that acupuncture's benefits were statistically insignificant. The difference in results is far from trivial. By addressing the randomization and blinding flaws in medical trials, we can significantly enhance the credibility and reliability of the trials, hence depicting a more valid reflection of the efficacy of treatments. Unraveling the power of statistics. The world is filled with uncertainties, and that's where statistics come into play. Combining and analyzing data can reveal hidden patterns, making statistics a powerful tool for understanding probabilities and informing decision-making. One such application is meta-analysis, which aggregates the results of multiple studies to spot patterns. For instance, when the outcomes of 7 trials on the use of steroids in premature births were combined, strong evidence emerged that steroids indeed reduced infant mortality. However, it's crucial to use and interpret statistics appropriately, as misused data can lead to unfounded conclusions and even injustices. In the case of Sally Clark, the mother of 2 infants who died of sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, flawed statistical analysis led to a wrongful murder conviction. A more accurate view of the numbers eventually revealed the improbability of Clark's supposed crimes. Statistics can be an enlightening force, but only when applied with care and accuracy. Memory, biases, and misjudgments. Our memories selectively recall unusual events, which contributes to biases and flawed decision-making based on invented relationships between unrelated occurrences. Additionally, our pre-existing beliefs and opinions of the majority shape our thought process, leading to prejudiced interpretations of evidence. Recognizing these cognitive patterns can help us understand how good science can be misconstrued in the media and bear significant consequences. Do you remember your first time drinking coffee? Perhaps not. How about your first kiss? Chances are, that memory is vivid. Our brains have been wired to remember unusual events and disregard the mundane. This selective process leads to biased memory and influences how we evaluate information and make decisions. One common cognitive fallacy is the tendency to assume a cause-and-effect relationship between unrelated events. Take, for instance, someone experiencing an improvement in their medical condition after visiting a homeopath. The natural inclination is to credit the treatment for the change in health, even though it could simply be coincidental with the gradual recovery from extreme illness. Our biases are also reinforced by existing beliefs and prevailing opinions. A U.S. study on the death penalty revealed participants' inability to objectively evaluate evidence contradicting their preconceived stance. They dismissed flaws in research supporting their viewpoint, while scrutinizing the methods of research that went against their beliefs. This experiment demonstrates that such biased behavior is common to all, not limited by intellectual capacity. Becoming cognizant of these cognitive tendencies can help us better understand good science and its potential misrepresentation in the media. In turn, this can assist in identifying the far-reaching consequences of such distortions. The Age of Misleading Science. Contrary to the era of groundbreaking scientific discoveries between 1935 and 1975, today's scientific advancements occur more gradually and rarely attract major media attention. Instead, newspapers often prioritize eye-catching but scientifically unsound stories to keep their audience engaged. With misrepresentations of scientific studies becoming all too common, it is important to critically examine the accuracy of such news stories. The contemporary age of scientific reporting tends to focus more on trivial, exaggerated, and attention-grabbing stories rather than genuine scientific breakthroughs. This shift in the media's approach is primarily due to the gradual and subtle nature of today's scientific advancements, which lacks the excitement previous eras offered. For instance, during the mid-20th century, remarkable innovations such as mechanical ventilation and intensive care were developed to fight diseases like polio. These life-saving discoveries attracted significant attention due to their immediate impact. In comparison, current incremental improvements in medical techniques and drug examinations contribute to increased lifespan but lack the dramatic flair required to make headlines. This preference for shock value over scientific accuracy has led to a surge of misleading and unfounded stories in the media. A classic example is the audacious prediction of human evolution in 1,000 years' time, suggesting that by the year 3000, humanity would be divided into two distinct species. Although blatantly disregarding evolutionary theory, this sensational story was widely circulated in newspapers. The underlying motivations were rooted in generating publicity for a men's TV channel rather than providing accurate and informative scientific content to readers. As sensationalism overtakes the humble pursuit of truth in scientific reporting, it becomes increasingly crucial for the audience to approach news stories with discernment and critical thinking. Recognizing the media's penchant for trivial and flashy content is the first step towards a more discerning readership for the future. Debunking sensationalist science news. Sensationalist news often preys on our fears by highlighting alarming, but inaccurate, scientific claims. This misinformation is spread due to the media's preference for attention-grabbing stories and their failure to investigate the credibility of non-expert sources. A notorious example is the widespread reporting of a non-existent link between the MMR vaccine and autism, which caused a decline in vaccination rates and a subsequent increase in cases of measles, mumps, and rubella. It's no secret that we are often drawn to fear-inducing headlines, like the possibility of dying from a terrible disease or a catastrophic asteroid strike. However, it's important to remember that many of these panic-inducing stories are far from factual. One major issue is that the media frequently publishes stories without challenging or investigating their scientific basis. Take the 2005 claims that the antibiotic-resistant superbug MRSA was rampant in UK hospitals. In reality, hospital microbiologists found no trace of this bacterium, and the expert behind the story was discovered to have little knowledge of microbiology and sold anti-MRSA products from his garden shed. Despite his dubious credibility, the media eagerly reported his claims. This problem stems from the media's focus on individuals with media influence rather than scientific expertise. A notorious example is the British media's repeated reporting on a supposed link between the measles, mumps, and rubella, MMR, vaccine and autism in children. This misinformation campaign was largely based on a single, anecdotal paper led by Surgeon Andrew Wakefield. In reality, all large-scale, rigorous trials proved the vaccine's safety. However, the academic community struggled to communicate this effectively through the media. Poor reporting practices, paired with emotional appeals from parents and patients, perpetuated the false narrative that the MMR vaccine was dangerous. Further discrediting Wakefield's claims, it was later discovered that he had conflicts of interest and suppressed data contrary to his theory. Regrettably, the media neglected to investigate these significant issues, leading to decreased MMR vaccination rates and an avoidable surge in measles, mumps, and rubella cases.
As we become more discerning consumers of scientific information, we can better distinguish between genuine scientific inquiry and questionable claims. Ben Goldacre's Bad Science, equips readers with the ability to understand the difference between good and bad science by discussing topics such as the role of placebos, the misuse of statistics, biases in thinking, and the problematic nature of the media's portrayal of science. The book reveals not only the ways in which science is manipulated and misused, but also helps readers obtain a clearer understanding of the scientific process. Being able to grasp the importance of sound scientific evidence enables us to make better informed decisions in a world that is often swamped with misleading information.